Hey everybody, my name is Lia Grainger and I'm the co-host of Curtain Call, a weekly interview series with powerful women in the arts, and it's presented by FabCollab and with the generous support of FACTOR, and so we're super grateful for that. Today we have an incredible artist. She's a dancer from Vancouver. She's a flamenco dancer. She's performed across Canada. She's educated dancers from coast to coast. She's an inspiration to flamenco artists across the country. She brings the biggest and greatest talents from Spain to Canada on a regular basis to work with these musicians and dancers and to share their arte with us and to give us the opportunity to see them perform and then also to learn from them. And she was my first flamenco teacher. So I owe so much to Cassandra. She'll be joining us in just a minute. Yeah, this is really special for me just because we met, I don't even know, like 16, 17 years ago. And my life, that's for sure. Probably didn't change hers as much as it changed mine, but it started me on my path to becoming a full-on flamenco junkie. Hi.
Hi,
Can you
can you
hear
hear
me?
me?
I absolutely can hear you. Yeah. You're coming through
Okay,
loud and
good.
clear. How are you?
Good. It's early in Vancouver, Granger.
I know. Well, see, but the thing is, we're trying to like span the time zones. Like I just saw Emilio Chando is watching from Spain, and there I think
Yeah,
it's like 6 o'clock. So we've
totally.
tried to meet in the middle, but I agree. I was because we haven't really had people from the West Coast yet, and I was
Mm.
like, oh man, it's gonna be a little early for Flamenco. So thank
It's
you for
great to
getting up
see
and having
you.
coffee. Yeah, I know. It's so great to see you. It's been too long since I've been in Vancouver, and we need to get you out
Mm.
here.
Yeah.
You
Whenever
doing
that
okay
may
out there?
happen.
Are you in your studio right now?
I'm in my studio right now. I have earphones on, but does that come out clear or
Yep, I can hear you perfectly.
okay? Because there's a
It's
time
also so
lag on
nice
my
to see
side.
all the flamencos logging on here. Hi, everybody.
Who's there? Oh, Tamar's there. Davide, yay!
Davide, ciao, Davide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cassandra, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much stuff I want to talk to you. I basically just want to like gossip and hear about your life. But since this isn't only you and me talking today, I thought I would maybe start by asking you a little bit about your own beginnings, about how you found this art form, because I think for a lot of Canadians, we all have these different sort of unlikely stories,
Yeah.
and you become like such an influential like persona in the country. It's like, how did it start for you? Because I'm assuming it didn't start at childhood, but maybe it did. How did it start?
No, absolutely not. I found flamenco as an adult. I had actually graduated from university, and I I was actually on a track to become a violinist. So everybody knows that story. But I had played and played and played, and I had an influential teacher by the name of Gwen Thompson who said, man, you need to get into your body. It'll be better for your expression, and you'll probably play a lot better if you danced. And I said, okay. So she set me up with Oscar Nieto, and then the rest is history.
Legend.
I didn't actually go back to violin after finding flamenco. So it's like, it was,
Wow.
yeah, that was
And
20
how,
years
so
of
what was
violin
it?
almost.
Do you remember what it was like with Oscar in the beginning? Like, was it something that you immediately felt? Hi, Adela. I'm
Adela,
some of
Jose, yay.
my teachers.
Yeah, my teachers too.
I want to get back to Spain so badly, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, what was
Mhm.
it like in the beginning? Like, did you feel it right away?
Well, you know what? It was something of a challenge because I just couldn't do it, right? Like it was
Mhm.
more like, wow, I can't count this time signature. I can't do my footwork and do my arms at the same time. So it was something more like an addictive challenge. That was like something I wanted to do. I honestly, I did not like the cante right away. I fell in love with the guitar first, and cante came much later. It was more like 2.5 or 3 years into it where I started to become immersed in the cante. But it was more like physical, mind, body, soul challenge. It was something I couldn't do, and I didn't want to let up until I could do it. And
Mm-hmm.
then it turns into something
Yeah.
like much later on. But the first few, like Oscar, basically, he kicked our butts. It wasn't like how it
Oh.
is now. Like now,
So what year did you start dancing in? Do you remember?
yeah, I think it was like towards the end of 1994, I found flamenco in
Okay.
the Shadbolt Center. And that wasn't
Okay.
with Oscar. That was with another woman named Jocelyn. She was French Canadian and she taught belly dancing as well. But I couldn't golpe tacon tacon. I was like, what? Like, what is this, right? And that's when I
Mhm.
met Gary. I met Gary
Yeah.
first before Oscar, and he was accompanying Solea in class, and I loved it. I just loved it. And so I found Oscar was on tour, so I didn't actually find him until the tail end of 1994 and into 1995, right?
Oh,
So,
that's so amazing. You have
yeah.
such a history. And then when were you like, when did you feel like you were like, oh, I've got to go to Spain. I've got to go to the source. Like, did that happen quickly?
It happened within 3 years. Actually, Oscar gave so much great bass technique and understanding of flamenco. I actually credit Oscar for my most basic understanding of flamenco and how it interplays with the cuadro. And it was 3 years, and I was already off and trying out classes in Seville, Jerez, and Madrid. And then in 2000, I actually went to live in Madrid for a couple of years, a couple of months. And that's when it kind of all started. And when did I meet you?
Sorry?
When did I meet
When?
you? Yeah.
I don't remember. Either 2003 or 2004.
Yeah.
I think 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
You
remember in the
started
beginning also
coming.
that feeling of being like, well, like learning the arms and learning the feet separately, and then being like, oh, and you think we're gonna like do this together? Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But then I think what's nice with flamenco, and I'm sure this is true of like so many different genres of like international music that isn't the traditional sort of like contemporary pop, whatever, is like it is so layered, and it is like you learn one part of it and then you realize there's this whole other thing to learn, and it's just like endless. That was like something Oscar would say a lot, was just about how like your
Yeah.
education in Flamenco is never over. Like you're never going to be finished.
No,
And
we're
the
never
truth. Even for
done.
someone like you who's like loves it seems like you're really like what one of the things that really like turns you on about it is this like endless like challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's definitely, I keep telling my students over here that flamenco isn't a straight line. There's nothing sequential about it, right? Like you can try to
Mm-hmm.
ram a choreography that way, but it's more like layers built on top of a grain of
Yeah.
sand that eventually becomes a pearl. But we're never done. We're never finished as flamenco artists. And really, the music is endless. So as long as the
Mm-hmm.
music keeps evolving and we keep digging into the roots of all of the cante and the music, we're never done, right?
Also, it seems like I mean, the dance as well. It's like the biggest international stars these days are doing stuff that's so out there and like
Mm-hmm.
that is so far from like the super traditional roots. And it just seems like there's room for everybody to find their language and their expression. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, like, through your career and through all the exploration that you've done, what have you found is sort of like what are you saying with your art, and how have you found your voice, because you are definitely one of a kind.
Well, I have actually, I feel like I have tried to take Cuadro to the maximum, which has been really hard to do as a Canadian, as you know, because the dance is only ever as good as your musicians. It wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 years ago that Davide came here and kind of enlightened us over here. Oh my God, there's
Yeah.
cajon and
Thank you,
flamenco.
Davide.
Yeah, so I feel like my career changed actually when Davide got here because
Davide
that
is a percussionist
changed.
from he's
Yeah,
an Italian flamenco percussionist that now lives in Vancouver, and we love him.
yeah. Like world class flamenco percussionist in Vancouver. Like, what's that? What? That
I know.
changed everything. That changed. I finally found somebody that matched my idea of soniquete and then more because he is super multi-layered as a rhythmicist, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. And so he kind of changed everything. And so once Davide got here, we had cycled through many guitarists, ranging from Josue, who's on here, who's amazing classical and also flamenco and contemporary guitarist, all the way to we had Liron here for a while. Jocelyn's
Mm-hmm.
brought a bunch of guitarists. We had Jesus Alvarez here with Maria
Mm-hmm.
Bermudez. We had Miguel Ramos from Cadiz. So we've had a chance to really push our level in Cuadro here in Vancouver. But it costs a lot of money, Lia. Like between me and Jocelyn, we have spent thousands of dollars to try to function at the highest level Cuadro possible here in Vancouver. And with the pandemic, we've just had to stop. Like nobody's in or out of our country. And so the whole Cuadro journey, quite frankly, has ground to a halt. So how we're
Just let me
continuing to
interrupt
work
for
right
one
now.
second and just say for
Sure.
people that don't know, cuadro is like in flamenco, it's like the guitarist, the singer, the dancer, and the palmas, the person clapping the rhythm, or
Mm-hmm.
percussionist, and percussionist. And it's like a lot of improvisation. It's like this very pure form of flamenco where you kind of have to have everything, like a knowledge of how everything works, so you can just go and communicate with the other artists live on stage. Just a little
Mm-hmm.
background for the non-flamencos.
Yeah, and so for all the people that are interested in flamenco, I feel like cuadro is really the purest form of flamenco because we have all kinds of things now. We have, you know, like flamenco stemming from the ballet and
Mm-hmm.
the folk traditions. And then we have flamenco that is way out there, like it's contemporary to MP3 and it's not live. Right now, I feel like flamenco is getting tested because we can't be together. We have
Mm-hmm.
no functions. I had the only show. Tamar tells me I had the only show across the country on Saturday nights at the Chai Lounge, and that was under social distance conditions with Peter Moll and Maria Avila, and there were three of us. And it's like, back even a year and a half ago, we used to cram 8 to 10 people on that little tiny stage doing flamenco.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been hard. Like, and it's
There we go.
not, it's yeah, it's energetically not as we know it. So we've had to
Mm-hmm.
recreate and reinvent ourselves because of all of this distance and separation. And we can't be energy monsters where we're all going for like this really, really powerful connection because all of a sudden we found ourselves disconnected. So yeah, that's where we are.
That's really hard. I feel like for flamenco, it's really been like a kick in the teeth for flamenco in so many ways because
So many ways.
like so much of it is like small venues, really close to the audience. Everyone's packed in there together. It's like it feeds off of this energy. Like the audience is a part of the show with their like jaleos, their shouts of encouragement, and those like. Although there are these like big theater shows and all of these different things, what I enjoy the most as a spectator is like being in those little cuadro shows. They're
Yeah.
the ones that from when I was in Spain that like just like stay in my heart, like more than anything, because
Yeah.
that's when you really feel it. And so like to have this thing where it's like, don't don't be near anybody, is like contrary to
No.
the whole spirit of it. And also just the fact that in Spain there's been no support for flamenco artists, and there's been so many clubs and stuff that have closed down, is really tough. But it sounds like you've been like working really hard to like overcome that, and like you're battling. So tell me about
Yeah.
some of the ways that you've been adapting to this
Well,
as a educator and as a performer.
well, I have been blessed and lucky to have tech. So do you want to see my setup?
Yeah, because I haven't
Okay.
done.
So here's my crap. This is what flamenco teachers need these days to be with their students. So you got
Yeah.
the Mac laptop, you got tripods. That's a $2,000 camera there that my husband had just laying around the house. That's a pretty expensive high-end mic. My students were complaining, oh, I can't hear you and do footwork and understand what you're saying all at once. And we had to get that mic. And then it's all hooked up here to an amp.
Oh
So
wow.
I kind of, when the pandemic happened, and actually it was you and Delara that gave us the big hands up. You're like, whoa, whoa, stop the keynote, stop the challenge. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like,
I was like, oh,
I
it's
don't
very scary.
understand. Yeah, it was actually, Lia was in Spain and Delara was in Switzerland, and they're two of our most dear Mosaico flamencos that said, what are you guys doing? You need to shut everything down now. And we just didn't understand. Like at the time you were telling us, we didn't get it because we just weren't
It only
there.
took a week though for everyone to get it. It's like I think Europe was like 1 week behind 1 week ahead of North America for COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got on Zoom right away. I think I might have been the first teacher to actually get on Zoom. So that was a horrible experience the first week because I had to do everything from my phone here. And
Oh
so the
no.
following week, then I set all of this up. It was better, but we hadn't solved a lot of problems. And so I continued to teach on Zoom nonstop through every single holiday, through Christmas. We were shut down here in Vancouver, and our students are like, you're going to teach over Christmas, right? Or else what are we going to do? So I did, like all week, all through Christmas. And my first break was actually spring break this year in March. And so we had a super busy March here. We had the whole restaurant thing happening on the Saturday night. I had a show with Alvin Tolentino at Shadbolt. So we pre-recorded that and live streamed that. And then we had another one at the dance center. So Peter and Maria and I were there. And then we had this great project. I was dancing literally in a pink bubble. People are asking, it's like, how are you performing? And so Small Stages created these $1,000 pink bubbles so that we could be dancing downtown. But the funny thing about that was,
outside or
outside, we were outside the wall, Sheraton, and we were trying to get into other locations that didn't happen for political reasons. But like literally, it's opposite world. You know how we used to rent a theater, we'd have to hustle our butts and sell tons of tickets to make sure we didn't go under. And we wanted to tell people, we wanted audience, we wanted to tell people, we wanted to promote, we wanted to do all the marketing. And with the Pink Bubble Project, it was like, don't tell anybody where we're going. Politicians are showing up. As soon as like a crowd would gather, they're like, okay, go back inside. Because like we're not allowed, like we can't perform, like we can't draw a crowd or an audience like before. So it's like upside down world here in Vancouver, everywhere. Yeah. So even though we're performing, we're continuing. It's all for black box theaters. It's at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. pre-recording in a black box. My musicians are masked. I don't even get to see Davide's face. And it's pretty tough for the connection because I think we're all involved in flamenco because we want to feel something. We want to feel something. We want to feel energy. We want to be energized, but we also want to give it back. And that sharing is kind of like that that cord has been a little bit cut. So we're having to find ways to continue here.
Yeah, I know. I feel like so many people have really like been so committed to like keeping it going during the pandemic that like now that we're sort of, I mean, right at this exact moment, it's rough times, but like
Yeah.
it's like the light at the end of the tunnel is so close, and it's so great to see that people have like kept it going during that time.
Yeah, we
Um,
got some cool things happening here. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
also enjoyed seeing there's been a lot of films that have come out of it. I saw Maria was doing one. We have our friend is coming out. Our friend here, Sophie, who's a sort of contemporary flamenco dancer, is like, yeah, just exploring whatever you can do during this time to like keep producing art.
Yeah.
I wanted to like switch gears for a minute because I mean, myself as a clearly like non-Spanish person and very like non-Spanish looking, as a
Mhm.
like 6'2" blonde Polish descendant, Canadian descendant. What has your journey been like as a Chinese Canadian flamenco dancer? I think it's so interesting that just that you've like really created this space for yourself and you're really unapologetically you. What has that been like? Like, have you always felt the sort of strength around it, or has it been hard as well?
It was really funny because I was just talking to Oscar the other week, and I asked him, I'm like, oh, I'm Asian? Really? I'm like, really? uh, April was a month of grant writing, as you know, and in Canada, that's how we get a lot of our work done through the grant systems. And for the first time in my life, I actually had people counsel me on some of my grant proposals, and they said that I had to make sure that everybody understood that I was Asian Canadian. I'm a Chinese Canadian. And I think that's obvious. If it's not obvious, I never had to make a point of that before. But honestly, I feel like it hasn't helped or hindered my flamenco career. I have colleagues across North America that said they've been really hurt by their ethnicity, and I never really felt that, especially living here in Vancouver, living here in Canada. I never
Mm-hmm.
felt that was any sort of problem. I don't, I haven't been an artist that's encountered much racism. And all this stuff that's happening during the pandemic, it is disconcerting that there is so much racism here in Vancouver. But quite frankly, I haven't encountered that. I haven't come across it. I haven't been attacked or in any sort of way. I don't feel like my ethnicity has harmed my flamenco career. In fact, maybe the opposite, because people are curious about that journey or that expression on that face. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that being said, I feel like I truly belong here in Canada. I feel like I'm 1,000% Canadian. My grandfather was born in Victoria, and my
Yeah.
father went to UBC in high school here. And so there is a sense of belonging, and with belonging, there's a sense of entitlement, right? And so I feel like I am somebody who belongs. So I've never not felt that.
That's wonderful because I feel like when I was in Spain, and I feel like, I'm like, I felt like it was so hard, like a lot of the time, like in classes and stuff, just because I was just so clearly like weird. But I think maybe it's even like it's a different thing, right? Because I'm just like physically like not the same as the teacher. It was even the same when I was learning from you. It was like, I can't imitate your movements exactly because like they just don't look anything alike because I got these like crazy arms and stuff. So that's like my own like challenge,
Mm-hmm,
And it's
mm-hmm.
true that I feel like with time and stuff, you find like your own language, and flamenco is so generous in terms of there's like room for a lot of different interpretation and room for like every kind of body and every every person, you know?
Well, I really identify with the warrior energy. Like flamenco is all about the lower chakras, right? So it's all about, rooting to the earth. It's all about your passion and sensuality. And then it's all about your warrior power. And like that just resonates with me. That's just who I am. I feel like that expresses that part of me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's kind of funny because I get this question actually a lot, but I think everybody's journey is really unique, and I think it's the whole point of art is to have a personal expression, to be able to express your feelings, and flamenco gives us all of that for sure.
Absolutely. I have a question that we didn't actually discuss, but I was thinking about it this morning maybe, and I was so curious because I'm turning 40 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like when I started dancing, I was young, well, probably started around the same age as you, right? Like early
20,
20s.
yeah.
And I sometimes feel now like that I'm like not as young anymore. And I'm like, what do I have? Like, am I gonna get better? Like,
You are going
is
to
there
get
more
better.
to offer? Do I have more to say? Like, why continue? Kind of like, because yeah, like I've been like pursuing this thing for so long, and I wonder what it's been like for you. Like, have you ever faced those kind of thoughts, or do you still
Now,
feel like you're gonna do this forever?
I am turning 50. People don't believe that this year, but I'm like,
That
I'm
is
turning
crazy.
50 this year at the end of the year. And I'm starting to feel like I never used to feel tired. Maybe it's just the pandemic on me right now, but yeah, my body feels a little bit more tired than before. Maybe that'll go away once the pandemic's over and I can perform again. But um, you know what? You discover different things as an older female because you have more to say and you're more confident. And quite frankly, I think you have more divine feminine expression actually later. I think people dance better. You can still get a standing ovation at the age of 40, 50, 60. I've basically seen Milagro Menjivar clean up with all this. Like, I remember going to Festival de Jerez, and there were all of these ladies in bata de colas. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they put 4 or 5 women, all different ages, in bata de cola. But it was the oldest woman that cleaned up. Standing ovation, nonstop talking about it for days after it. And I think, what happens is you become less physical and technical and more honestly expressive, because I think up until you don't know what you don't know, you're going to get better.
Mhm.
You're going to continue to express yourself. And then it becomes different. Maybe instead of more powerful, it becomes it may be more vulnerable and maybe softer, right? So it's different
Mhm.
essences of you and your
We're
expression. I think,
classier.
yeah, we have a lot of, like right now, I'm embracing the big bum tango de Titi. But I think
Nice.
we have great role models in Canada. I love Veronica Maguire, who is in her senior years now, and she has one of the most beautiful, honest, um, vulnerable expressions for Solea. I think people need to compare and contrast that with the youth. And Carmen Romero, you know what? She tells me we get better. So I'm just going to trust
Yeah.
that that's
Mhm.
happening.
Kicking ass and taking names. That one.
Yeah, exactly. She's still at it.
Amazing.
So it's amazing. So
Hmm.
I think we can't give
Well,
up.
that's pretty encouraging to hear. I know, because I'm like, come on, I'm not even that old. But it's just like part of life, especially as a woman, I feel to be like, oh, but I'm not. It's like you feel like you're offering this one thing as like a young person, but then it's like it's true that so many of the shows that and performances that I've really enjoyed over the years have been with women and with men that are like 50,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
really, yeah, they have this like gravitas, and they also have this, they're relaxed about it, so they can be more playful. and it doesn't come off as cocky because they can actually back it up with like life experience.
Yeah, and it's, you know, what happens is like you make no apologies. It is what it is, and that's the best it is going to be, and you don't care. Actually, you don't care what people think.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's part of it too, because that's how I feel more and more. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of a nice feeling.
Well, it's a good place to be when you're a flamenco dancer. But I thought I don't think we started that flamenco guitar journey until I was maybe about 42. So we've been So we've been trying hard to bring international guest guitarists here for about 8, maybe 9 years. So all of this thing that you guys are seeing is happened in my 40s. Nothing happened before the age of 40, actually.
That you're sorry, go ahead.
Yvonne Vargas and I have the top hit for YouTube for Ruka. And it's like people are curious about that. I think I was 43, maybe 44 doing that. And it's like, why that YouTube? I have tons of YouTubes and people are curious about that YouTube.
I'm going to go watch that.
It's like more than 100. I want to say it's like 130,000 people are watching that YouTube and commenting on that YouTube. But I'm like, why that one? Are people curious to see an Asian woman dancing with one of the Gitano princes from Granada? Is that the choreography was a little bit comedic, or like what was it about that? So nothing happened, Lia. Nothing happened.
It's very hard to say with these things.
Nothing happened in my flamenco career until I hit 40. So all this stuff that you're seeing is like now happening in this decade.
And what about the next decade? What does the future hold for Cassandra?
Oh my gosh, I have to learn how to make a video. This video thing is quite disconcerting to me right now because we're trying to make a few videos. I'm still working with my guitarist Josue, who is in Mexico. He has an Argentinian cantor down there. So we're doing all of this like MP3, WhatsApp, email thing. And then my singer's here. Jocelyn moved to West Van and I'm here in North Van. So we're actually really close together still. But we're learning how to make videos. And what I find a little bit disconcerting about the videos, maybe other people can comment about this, but we don't have to be perfect anymore. Like I used to train to execute a choreography from beginning to end and be able to do it well, right? And there's none of that. I find this very crazy because you just did a video out in the forest. And it's like, well, did you have to actually execute that choreography from beginning to end? No, you probably recorded that in sections, right? Sections and sections. And then you just pick the best one out of the 10 or whatever. I find this a little disconcerting. Like as a flamenca, I'm like, no to that process, but I know that I need to embrace it this year, but man.
For me, with the thing about film is like, definitely it's not, for me, it's not like capturing a performance in the sense of like, oh, you're taking like a videotape of like yourself doing a dance at a venue or something. For me, I was more like, how can I like say something like with like every shot and like with where I am and like the sound, like the sound design that came in after that, like use the environment. Like the thing that I like about it is like, yeah, that it's like this whole other medium of expression, but I would be so sad if that was like the only thing I got to do. It would be like so unfulfilling because like, exactly, like there was no music when I was doing it. I was like doing it to a click track that I had like designed to speed up in certain places so that the sound designer could then later do that, because there wasn't any music because the music was made with the sound of the environment. So like, yeah, it was like so stressful. Like, just there was all these different things going on at once. It had like very little to do. The creation of it had nothing to do with like with the show. So in that
Yeah.
sense, yeah, it's not like it's
Yeah.
just a totally different thing.
I
Yeah.
just think it's not the art form that I've been doing, not even close. So that's what
Mhm.
I'm wrestling with, I think, this year. I like here in BC, we've been able to do shows. Like we were able to do shows last August, September, October. Even if it was for 25 people, we did. And then
Mhm.
2021 happened, and then all of a sudden we weren't allowed to have any audience. So all of our theaters are empty. They hire technical staff. So we have a few really great organizations, Shadbolt Center and the Dance Center here in Vancouver, that just we just keep trying to live stream or keep trying to stream on demand to keep it all going. But even then, that process was really different for us. But we were so happy to be together January, February, March, that we did pre-record shows, and but we never got a second chance before. And I think what I miss about flamenco is it's like, oh man, I miss the one shot deal, because I need to know, like, I need to have that pressure and that risk on me to do a better job. Because if you look at performances live versus performances video, like they're so different. The essence and the quality and the energetic output is so different, that I think that's really the big struggle for the career flamencos. And that's something I guess at the age of 49, I don't want to be that supermodel filming that video in that beautiful BC venue, because that's not where I'm at.
Mhm.
So that's my personal struggle right now with this year, because I know that all I have is videos probably through the summer. But it's like, well, how do people cope with that? I think that's a really interesting question for the career flamencos. Like, because maybe you want to do videos at the age of 18, 25, or 30, but maybe you don't want to do them like when you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, because that's learning something totally new without the energy that you're necessarily used to, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, you've already done a really amazing job adapting though to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe video isn't your thing, but you're teaching from home. Like you've already come a long way, like more than I have in that sense. Like I just am like I can't dance in my house. Like I'm just it's like I can't. I haven't been able to go. The studios here have been shut down
Which I can't
since like
believe. Like, you need help.
yeah,
You
I
guys
haven't been
need help.
dancing. I don't know. It's awful. But
Yeah.
the end is near, like in a good way. The light at the end of the tunnel, not the end.
Yeah, I'm
I
ready to
wondered.
take Vancouver flamenco out to the forest, because like I live out here in the mountains, and I'm like, listen guys, like I have 3 boards. Let's just go out. I mean, flamenco is portable. We can just go out,
Totally.
right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I know that Tamar is gonna say, where is
they
she?
want a dance center. Carmen and Tamar want a dance center. Oh, you really do. Those guys, like, we got shut down, and I had a big show with Mosaico Flamenco, and they said, well, we can't have all of Mosaico Flamenco, but let's do a show anyway. But that was the 9 a.m. black box show. And so we did it. But Peter, Maria, and we were so happy to be able to do something. But you know what? They provided the tech to be able to edit the video. So that's sort of where most of flamenco dancers, our skill set is kind of stops at the video editing, right? So I had one very weird project where I had pre-recorded music for 4 minutes. So it was an original composition. And like, this is what I didn't get. I wanted to do a video collage of my dance. So I danced footwork with skirt. I danced with the small fan. I danced with the big Chinese fan ribbons. And then like it was up to us to mix that video. But I never
Hmm.
had to learn a part sequentially. I like, unlike preparing for a show where you get, you kind of have to have an idea at least of your choreography from beginning to end. It was like I actually had to choreograph 3 parts, film 3 parts, and then it was up to the videographer to cut and paste those together and overlay them and, you know, do the creative. But it's like, oh, there's like 3 Cassandras on this video. It's like, whoa. So some things are harder. Like it's harder now to create a video because now you need to choreograph 3 parts and at least perform them relatively well, right? It's not like before where it's like one choreography, rehearse that like a machine, and then go out there and then do your best with all of the variables with your live musicians. So in a way, video is much harder and much more layered, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's harder because I don't think there's anything harder than like executing quadro really well and improvising and all of that comes with that. Like that's just like a skill you can't fake.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with video, there's like a little bit more you can fake, which I think is probably
oh yeah,
that
it's like, oh, make a mistake,
like,
cut.
But then it's like very difficult in the sense that like it's like you need a team, you need to have like a director and a sound designer, and you need like a really good editor who understands, and everyone needs to sort of understand what flamenco is. It's like you can't do it by yourself, and you need to like be able to like trust other people's vision and stuff like that, which can be like hard as if you're used to being like the leader in your quadro, or you're used to being like the choreographer. It's like you kind of got to let it go. I don't know. Yeah, it is like this whole other collaborative art form.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm thinking like a couple months we'll be back on stage.
You think so?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I wonder, would you show us like a little something, anything, like a little patadita or like a tiny bit of footwork or anything at all to share with our viewers?
You guys want to learn what my Zoom class is learning?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Let me just. Oh, right.
How many classes are you teaching a week?
I teach on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings. So.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, this is how I see my community now. And actually, some people have gotten a lot better because of Zoom. So if people are actually analytical and need to think about it or talk about it, Zoom's actually better. Remember back in the old days, I used to teach you guys how to dance tangos and bulería. This takes at least 18 months live, maybe up to 3 years. And on Zoom, these guys are doing it in 6 months.
Wow, that's incredible.
Because they have no choice but to listen to me. I'm talking to them like this. And I stop dancing, so nobody has ADD, right? So you know how you're in live dance class and everybody has to be dancing and tapping around and not listening to the teacher? I stop the class and I talk to them like this about the structure of what needs to happen and what goes where. 6 months. Zoom's a miracle. It's 6 months.
Wow, that's amazing.
I can dance and I can sing at the same time and do footwork. It's not really pretty, but I can do it. But people, the point is people learn.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's like a blessing to people who actually like put the time in during the pandemic because they did it all in this way and got so much out of it.
Yeah. Kids, little kids are ambidextrous. So if they're looking at you, you can teach them like sevillanas like this or turn around. Adults can't. So adults have to look at my back and my butt to learn anything. So which experience would you like? Do you want to be seeing my face, or do you want to learn like how people are learning on Zoom? Which perspective?
Experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
So which experience would you like? Do you want to look at what a Zoom class looks like?
You get to actually pick? Let's just do face-to-face.
Face to face. Okay, I got to take my
Good, I'm gonna
earbuds out.
stand up. I wasn't prepared to like stand up so you can see my weird body.
Oh no, I'm losing you. Okay,
Still
should we
half
not?
drunken bottle of wine in the background.
Okay, how about this? How about let's do Bulgaria together, but far away. No? Oh wait.
Okay.
You're in Toronto,
Further
Vancouver. I guess I can
away.
sing us like class. It's not going to be good, guys, but okay, let's see. Okay, I have to take my earbuds out.
Okay.
I guess I'll sing the one from Thursday class. Thursday beginner Bulgaria class happening now. Just do whatever you want. After the first letra, do a 2-bar llamada. And then after the second letra, do a 3-bar desplante. And then do the ta 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 ta. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I gotta put the click track on. I can't hear you now. All right. This is what happens Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights in Vancouver. Oh, that was so funny. I can't see you. It's funny to be dancing Bulgaria
Oh my
Sevilla
God.
with somebody over there.
I'm so out of breath. I'm so out of shape.
This coletia is from Vicente. He came here. He came here and everybody's like, oh, what are you singing? Doobie-doo. And like all of our students are so confused about this coletia because it's 5 or 6 bars long, so it's longer than usual, but we love it. There's so many things that guest artists have taught us that we're trying to keep doing from year after year. But anyway, this is what happens in Vancouver.
Yeah, that was so
weird
fun.
because we turn into like these lecturers and comedians, right? So it's not exactly the same as live class, but there are some things better about Zoom than live. Primarily.
Yeah, you can connect in different ways, yeah.
Yeah, so we can actually do patadas. Like if I sit here and go, okay, I'm gonna sing you. But now, because of this Wi-Fi lag, you have to be so clear with your llamada. They get it now. They get that. It's like, oh my God, I really have to be clear with this llamada. Although we have no idea if people are in compás on the other side, it doesn't matter.
Oh my
So
God,
now
that's so
Hamas is
funny.
less of an issue. Anyway,
Carmen says, I love the lampshade hit. I don't know if you noticed, but I have this I have this chandelier, and it was like immediately like douche. So that
oh,
is one of
I
the
miss that
hazards.
so much. I can't believe the Victoria Festival is not live this year. I was writing
I
into Emily
know.
and Veronica. I'm like, please, please, like, we'll be mostly vaccinated. Can like some of it be live? And they're like, no, everything's a video. Anyway, maybe we have some hope for the year after.
Soon, soon. Cassandra, thank you so much for everything you've shared with us and for yeah, just like bringing flamencos together in Canada and for everything you've done for the community and for me personally. Because it's been a lifelong journey for me. And it started in Vancouver with you and with Oscar.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like such an amazing place to start and like such a solid foundation and such a holistic education about flamenco, about understanding like everything about the art form, not just like the aesthetics and not just one thing, not just the other. Especially the combination of the two of you was so wonderful.
Oh, well,
So
we
thank you, and thank you for joining us today. Like really, it's like such a blessing to be able to talk to you and to hear what you're up to. And hopefully I'll see you in Vancouver soon. Yeah, one more thing. Where can people find you online if they want to take classes or if they want to watch your videos or just like hear more about your work?
Well, the classes are mosaicoflamenco.com. Everybody spells it wrong, but it's MOZAICO flamenco.com. And our whole schedule's up there. We've had to adapt.
Tamara has it in the comments right now, your website also.
Ah, great. Yeah, we have a flamenco on Zoom Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And like I said, some things are actually better than live. Anybody who's analytical, needs the explanation, needs to see it slow. We have to slow everything down a lot for Zoom. I don't teach the same speed live as Zoom. Live is much faster. And then Flamenco on demand. For all of the people in the rest of the world, you need access 24/7. So we have a pile of those too. New footwork bootcamp coming up this month.
Amazing.
I know
Wonderful.
these are the times, but you know what's happened is electronic has attracted women, especially middle-aged women, to come to flamenco. And all these years that we've been teaching for 25 years or so, we've only attracted like the people that want to be seen. So imagine that for a second. For 25 years, live class has offered something amazing to the people that want to be seen. So as many of you attention-seeking missiles as they are, there are actually way more introverts that want to study flamenco too. So what we've found is that electronic has actually brought a lot of people to flamenco that otherwise would never show up to live class. So the transformation that I see on Zoom is there's a woman, sign up. She keeps her camera off. You don't get to see this for a month or two. And then slowly she feels safe, puts the camera on and decides, okay, this is a community I want to be involved in. And then you see a woman in sweats and no makeup and hair, however. 1 month later, she decides to put on makeup. A month and a half later, she gets the clothes. And then 2 or 3 or 4 months later, she has the full-on flamenco get up, ready for class, and really wants to be there. This is somebody who might never, ever, ever show up to a studio because it's too embarrassing. So we find it's a whole different thing. I find Zoom is so interesting, right?
Yeah, it's wonderful that there's this whole other side to it.
We can still reach people and maybe even more people electronically that need flamenco. You need flamenco to perform. All the people that do flamenco want to be seen, but for every single one of us there's probably 7 other people that want to stay at home and they don't want to come out. And so you see a really big transformation. And so that would be within, I think, an interesting study, an interesting women's study, right?
Yeah.
So question, this is a question mark, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, like how would you ever know before now that this whole faction of people that had a desire to learn and to be a part of it were out there, you know?
Remember 20 years ago, Leah, like it was, we were all 20. You guys were all teenagers. You and Delara, you were teenagers. Beautiful,
Yeah.
skinny teenagers. It's like all the people we attracted were all of the people that looked good and wanted to be seen already. So now everybody's stuck at home. Nobody's getting exercise. People are working in the office. They don't get to go into the office, so they're working twice as much at home for the same amount of money. They need to get out of their chairs. And so there's a whole type of woman excluded from flamenco all of these years. These are the moms. These are also the moms of older kids that don't want to hang out with them anymore. My kids are 11 and 13, so I'm almost out of it. It's like, what, you don't want to hang out with mommy? No, mom, see you later. I'm like, okay, now I have all this time. So it's like for the woman that has teenagers or university age students, she has all this time, all this money, and she needs to study flamenco. She needs flamenco. So, you know, especially where we're not allowed to travel, people are looking for the novel. People are looking to be passionate about something.
It also is a way to like travel, you know, in a way, and like to do something exotic and something foreign and something that takes you out of your own, like where you live, out of Canada for a minute. Yeah, totally.
Travel is no longer available to us, right? So I've had some very interesting conversations with my students who say that flamenco is a little bit elitist. And I said, what do you mean? And like she would tell me, there's no entry point for us that don't know anything. And I'm like, I never considered flamenco necessarily exclusive, but yeah, after we've been doing this for 10 or 20 or 30 years, nobody understands us anymore. Like, what the hell's the yabala? Like, come on. Nobody, there is no entry point. So I just find it interesting. So there's a divine feminine will in flamenco waiting to get discovered, and we can offer it. You guys can offer it.
Yeah. So everybody, I will a million times vouch for Cassandra as an incredible educator. Sign up with her. You will have an amazing time and you will learn how to do flamenco. Thank you so much, Cassandra. It's been so wonderful talking to you. Just before I go, I want to say that next week we have Sophie Gudinho. I know that name so well and I always have difficulty saying it. She's an incredible dancer. Sophie is the founder of Enamorada Dance, and she has a new film coming out, Sola. She does sort of contemporary flamenco. She's a really wonderful young dancer from Toronto. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us, Cassandra, and hopefully I'll be seeing you live and in person in Vancouver very, very soon.
Everybody,
this is Curtain Call.
So guys, we're almost through.
This is Curtain Call, and we are a project of FabCollab, and we'll be back here next week at 12 p.m. Thanks a lot. Bye.